Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks everybody for coming to listen to this session this afternoon. And also thanks for the organisers for giving me a Guernsey. It's our first Noosa presentation, and it's great to be here, although it's rather sweaty up here in Noosa. And Impact Minerals, we've got a number of projects, and we've been quite focused in the eastern states over the last few years, but in following up with the big Julimar discovery, we're actually pivoting at the moment back to our WA projects. And so we're going through a process of rationalising our eastern states portfolio and trying to create value out of there. And we'll talk about that briefly, and then also finish with some of the exciting news to come from our WA projects, certainly in the back of Julimar. Now, we've probably heard over the last day, and you'll hear it over the next day, that really mining is all about persistence. Impact has been around for some time, and you just want to make sure that you never give up, and you've got to be in the right place, though. So persistence is certainly the key, and you've got to be in the right area. And that's really one of the founding principles of Impact. We're here to find a world-class discovery. We've been around for a while. We're not here to find a 50,000 ounce a year gold producer and sort of progressively build that. It takes as much time to get a 50,000 ounce gold mine going as it does take a 2 million ounce per year gold mine. So pegging large strategic ground holdings has been our modus operandi since we started. And so we're very large ground holders in a number of the prospective parts of Australia. So we've really focused in WA on the back of the Julimar discovery and also emerging lithium targets that we have. We've got a significant project at Broken Hill, and we announced a major joint venture yesterday with IGO, Independence Group, on that. And then we're, as I say, rationalising our portfolio in the process out the other side. Is that rain that I can hear? I am in North Queensland. It's great. So a bit of, about Impact. We've got 2 billion shares on issue. We listed in 2006. We have options, which are employee and director options. If those were all in the money, that would give us around about 8% combined of the company, which is, I think, is a fair reward for the effort that we've put in. We've got about just over 2 million in the bank, and you'll see from the share price that we've actually made a recovery in the last month or so, which is on the back of our WA news. And this sort of downward slope here was driven by a copper gold target that we drilled earlier this year that didn't deliver, but it was certainly a very outstanding target. And so we're on the recovery path in through here, market cap about 30 mil. We've had very strong support from 2 German groups over the years, and we've just recently appointed a German director, so very strong German themes to the company. ABC is a subsidiary of a listed investment vehicle called Deutsche Balaton, and they invest in probably at least about 12 or 13 emerging producers and developers across the Australian resource space. So we'll have a look at Broken Hill, where yesterday we did announce the joint venture with IGO. And you'll see here, so this is the Broken Hill Township, one of the world's major ore bodies here. It's been mined almost continuously for 150 years. And there's the scale, that's 10 kilometres. So we have a huge land holding, and we basically progressively over time picked up, we're almost encircling the Broken Hill ore body. And yesterday's deal was actually done really only on 2 tenements, shown here in the blue and the green, and which was for nickel, copper and PGE. So a different suite of metals to that are mined at Broken Hill, which is silver, lead, zinc. And we were always attracted to this project because it has very high grades of all 6 platinum group metals, which is very rare worldwide. You can count on the fingers of one hand the number of occurrences around the world where you get the grades that we get here. And that was really what's attracted IGO to the place. So big potential, silver, lead, zinc, copper. We're working on strategies to, say, get value out of this package here, but just an example of the value that we have locked up in the company at the moment. So here's the deal we announced yesterday with IGO. So it's $18 million over 8 years to earn 75%, just of those 2 small licenses compared to the rest of our package. It's in 3 stages, basically. They've got to spend $500,000 before withdrawal, and they're going to spend that money on a deep-seeing EM survey, electromagnetic survey, looking for massive sulfides. And then, assuming they find some drill targets, they can spend another $6 million to earn 51% and a further $12 million to earn 75%. Sorry about the formatting there. And so this is what's interested IGO. And this is a hole we drilled some years ago. This is massive sulfide. You've heard lots of people talk about this. And it's at the southern end of a 9-kilometre long trend that's called the Morkai trend. which has basically only ever been drilled at this southern end. And the reason it's of interest is that if you read this, I'll read this out because it's worth it, but this is 0.6 metres at 11 grams platinum, 25 grams palladium, 1.5 grams of gold, 15% combined nickel and copper. It's 1.5 ounces of silver, it's got cobalt, and then it's got 1 to 2 grams of the rare PGMs, rhodium, iridium, osmium, ruthenium. This is probably the most valuable ore in Australia, without a doubt, if we can find a larger amount of it. It just takes a lot of drilling. And the problem with PG exploration is how to focus. And this is an example, is that this is a very boring, bland rock that I picked up, I went on a visit many years ago to Lac des Iles, and it just looks like any other sort of green rock that you see throughout Western Australia, except it's carrying 18 grams. And they call them no-seum zones, because most PGEs, you can't actually see the mineralisation. So it makes it very difficult. You can't detect it by handheld XRF, so you need to send it to the lab and do a whole lot of work on it before you can get the PGE results. So during our drill program last year, we actually managed to identify a ratio, secret magic ratio, as we like to call it, which showed a very good log linear relationship to the grade of platinum, palladium and gold. And we can see in through here, so these are from assay results from a laboratory, and we can see that our ratio is down here, and we've got the numbers here, 2 to 5 and then 5 to 20. Sort of at around about the 10 to 20 level, we can see the ratio starting to take off and the grade is increasing. And by the time you get above 20, then you're almost guaranteed sort of a gram of PGEs combined. And we've been able to basically back calculate and use a handheld instrument as the drill rig is going to move the drill rig back and forward. And we've actually made a sort of a modest breakthrough in that area at Platinum Springs. And I'll show you here, because we drilled 16 and 17 out through here, and we were getting sort of very modest numbers with the ratio. And then we drilled 21, 22, 29, 30, 31 and 33. And 30 gave us the highest ratio, and we nailed basically a channel-like structure at the base of the host unit, shown in purple. And the highest ratio gave us a metre at 3.3% nickel, 1% copper, and 22 grams of PGEs. If I say so myself, that's actually an astounding piece of exploration work. And it's the first coherent zone of mineralisation in over 40 years of exploration in this region. And so we made that cracking breakthrough, but there's 9 kilometres of trend there that needs to be drilled out. We've identified the nature of the structure, and they're very similar to the nickel channels that other people have spoken about, in particular in Kambalda in WA. And so we've now finally worked out the geometry, some of the controls on it, and so we're in a position now to move forward pretty quickly. So that's about 9 kilometres of trend, and then we've got another 7 kilometres of trend on our little Broken Hill Gabbro. This was the first ever drill program that we ever into the entire body, shown here with the sort of red and blue outline. And we can see that basically we've got highly anomalous PGEs in every drill hole on this western contact, and then also over this major fault, which we think was active during the intrusion of this particular unit, and it's also copper enriched as well. And so this thing is alive and kicking basically over the entire strike length. So we're up to around about 15, 16 kilometres of strike and these extensive drilling, and we've got sulphides that we can very visible, and that's really what's drawn IGO into the joint venture. So we're looking forward to working with them. They're a great team, and we think there might be some interest in our other projects that we have as well. So all of the story, of course, this week was Chalice's massive discovery at Julimar, just north of Perth. I'm ex-Western Mining, for those of you old enough to remember that company, and a lot of my friends are very famous nickel explorers, and we all drove past this thing for decades, just on the side of the road. So we're all kicking ourselves that we weren't the smart ones to pick it up. Most of the action has been sort of up and down this margin of this so-called Yilgarn Craton, and that's because this is where a lot of the Proterozoic nickel is located. So there's an equivalent belt down here, Nova Bollinger, which most of you would know, now owned by IGO, sitting out through here in this belt. And we've actually sort of recognised this structure sort of cutting through the area, which has probably got similar characteristics, might be slightly older. And so we staked this ground in May last year. We announced it on a Friday morning at 9 o'clock, and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Anglo-American Corporation, pegged 10,000 square kilometres all around us. So it was quite obvious that they were thinking of acting, and we managed to pit them to the post. And the reason for that is there's now some sort of research that shows this particular structure here is a fundamental, very deep-seated structure. It's the sort of thing you want for the nickel and copper and PGE to sort of start creeping their way up. And whilst all the action has been at Julimar, we've seen Mandrake at Newlyon. They went for a bit of a run. We had Caspin at Yarrawinda and Mora. And it's certainly an emerging belt through here. And this is an example of sort of the magnetic anomalies that we see throughout this area. This is Julimar, and it's at the southern end of that very long trend that you've probably seen talked about. But there are literally hundreds of anomalies of similar size. This is where the main mineralisation is here. This is our Bode project that we bought. This is Newlyon with Mandrake, and we've got dozens of those sort of size anomalies through our project area. So part of the revival in our share price, which you should really take a look at and get on the trend early, was driven by the results that we put out a few weeks ago now on our nickel, copper, platinum, palladium and gold in soil. So these are just soil anomalies, perhaps not too much to get excited about, but one of the things is that all of these anomalies that we've shown here are actually all 5 of those metals, so nickel, copper, platinum, palladium and gold. Now, if it was just nickel and copper, it might just be background in a mafic host rock, but we're getting platinum, palladium and gold with it, which tells me very strongly that this is sulfide related, and we've got a real chance of making a discovery. Now you'll notice the sort of disparate nature of these things is that we've only been able to sort of sample at the moment along roads and tracks, because this is the wheat belt, and land access is a laborious process to get through with the farmers, but we're working through that, and also it's harvest time coming up, so at the end of this year and into the new year we'll be able to expand these targets that we've identified. I won't labour the point, but we've been working with a new geophysical technology which has actually helped us identify these areas, and there are 15 sort of large targets here, 6 high priority ones. There's actually 5 lower priority ones, and even the sort of the lower ones ended up with small anomalies associated with them, which just might be on the edge of something bigger. So you should keep your eye on us, because what we're doing is really quite special with the geophysics, and we will be testing these things in 2022 with the drill rig. And just a couple of examples. This is the scale here. So each of these samples is 100 metres apart. So this is something that's sort of 600-700 metres long and a few hundred metres wide. This one here is actually multiple anomalies along the track, and we've got hundreds of metres of anomalous nickel, copper and PGE to test. So it's a really quite outstanding set of results. And I should point out there's not a single drill hole in this entire project area. So never been explored. So the southwest of WA is really starting to emerge now as a new province. As a bonus, we ended up identifying some significant lithium, cesium, tantalum targets. I think that helped the share price. Same kind of story. Might not be as clear, but again, 100 metres between samples. We've got anomalous zones, 100 metres thick, 100 metres wide in numerous places all the way through this project. And we also announced we've got rare earths in here as well. So it's a project for all seasons, and we're going to be very much focused here. On the back of this and the geophysics, we've expanded our portfolio quite considerably in WA, and there'll be more news on that to come. But the big news for between now and Christmas is that we've got a major drill program to start on our Doonia Gold project. It's located about 85 kilometres east of Kambalda, and about 25 kilometres east of the Burns discovery, which many of you will probably be familiar with. So the Froy exploration set the market alight early this year with some very significant drill results. But of greatest significance is the fact that it's a very unusual style of gold mineralisation for this part of the world. This is generally a gold-only terrain. A little bit of silver, a few other bits and pieces, but this is a copper-gold magnetite discovery. And you very rarely see that in the gold fields. There are a number of those occurrences, as it turns out, in the southern area, and we think that it might be a model for a new era of exploration in this area. And Doonia and Burns were both discovered by WMC in the same drill program back in 1999. Only Burns has ever been followed up, and Doonia hasn't. And what we're going to target is some magnetic anomalies. This is a magnetic image. Here's the scale, 2.5 kilometres. We've got a zone that's about 2.5 kilometres basically in diameter. It's sitting on a larger, buried, deeper magnetic body, which we can see here. And it's a gold bismuth target. We've just done some soils over the top, been able to define the anomaly quite well. We should be drilling within 3 weeks. And this is what it looks like in 3D. I only got this the other day, but these are the sort of the little anomalies, and we've got this big thing sitting underneath. But I decided it kind of looked like a rubber glove, so I'm not too sure where these fingers are headed, but hopefully we'll be able to drill off the edge of those, and this is where the anomaly is. And that's the impact story, and drilling for this year. Keep an eye on us for Arkham next year, and any questions out on the booth. And look forward to speaking with you later. Thank you.